Welcome back to another construct video, and in this video, wall running.
Parkour!
Let's get started. So to begin with, we need a couple of objects. The first thing we need is a player, and in terms of the behaviours, they're very standard behaviours. I've not changed any of the traits. We've also got a platform to stand on, and again this is what we'd expect, being the solid behaviour. And then we also need what's called a backboard. This is just a sprite. I've got 3 of them, but it is just an image, and this is what we're going to say you can wall run on. So we need some sort of service we can wall run on. Finally, we just need a keyboard. If you don't know how to add a keyboard, just right click, insert new object, and scroll down till you get to the input devices. You'll find keyboard here that you can insert. So that's it in terms of the objects. Let's have a look at how we put this into our event sheet. So the first thing we're going to do is set up some rules that we need to follow in order to start wall running. So the first thing that I'm going to do is say that you must be holding a keyboard key, and make sure you've got keys down and not on key pressed. And you need to be holding the up key in order to wall run. Now there's lots of variations you could do on this, but what I like to add as well is making it so you're holding a direction as well. So key is also down, and we'll start with the right key, and then we'll later copy and paste this code for the left side. So we need 2 events for this. So are you holding up? Are you holding right? We also need to add in another condition on this, and we need to actually check if our player is overlapping another object, and that's going to be our backboard. Now at this stage we could call it quits, and we could say, right, you're holding up, you're holding right, and you're overlapping the backboard. Great, you can wall run. The final thing that I like to add is just making sure the player's on the ground. So if you've got quite a low backboard, it means they're not running on the floor. They must be actually off the floor in order to do this. So we take is on floor, we just right click and invert. So there's our rule set up. We're now able to actually program the wall running, and actually it's really simple to put in. So we're just going to add an action, player, and we're going to scroll down, and we're just going to see this option that says set vector Y. Now vector Y will go downwards as you're falling. We're going to set that back to 0, so we're on this sort of straight line plane. And let's do our first test. So as I run over, I'm going to hold, and you can see that I'm running to the other side and I'm there. Now again, I've only set this up for one direction, so I'm going to fall, but we can repeat this once more. And you can see actually, even though we're setting the vector Y to 0, gravity is still putting our player down slightly, so there is that slight falling still, which sort of mimics that sort of wall running. The other thing that we've also got is as we do our initial jump, we gain a little bit of height to begin with. So pretty cool. We can also just copy and paste this now and just change the direction from right to left. So that's our basic system, but what we want to do is actually improve upon this a little bit. The problem we've got at the moment is this is actually an infinite wall run. You could have a really long wall run, you could wall run forever. We're going to make it a bit more balanced and make it so there's a timer. So after a certain amount of time, you drop off the wall. So how do we add this timer? Well, what we need to do is go to our player, and we're going to edit the behaviors. I'm going to add in the timer behavior. Next, we're going to right click on our player, and we're going to insert a variable, and this is going to be a brand new variable called can run. And this is going to be a boolean, and by default it's going to be true. At the start of the game you can run. And just hit the X. So now we need a way to turn this from true to false and back again. We'll start with a really simple bit. If the player is on the floor, so we'll scroll down till we see on the floor option, what we're going to do is take that player and we're going to set that boolean to true. And this basically says that as soon as you touch the floor again, you're able to wall run another time. Now we need a way to turn that to false. So we're going to click on the side of our events, right click, and add what's called a blank sub event. And on our blank sub event, we're going to take our player, scroll down to our timer settings. I'm just going to say is timer running, and for the tag we're just going to type in wall run. Make sure that's in speech marks, and all we're going to do is right click and invert this. So we're going to set up the timer now, and this time will only work if this timer is not running. Essentially it's only going to work once. So we're going to go to our player, scroll down, and now we can actually start the timer. And again, I'm going to set it up for the amount of time we want to wall run for. So I'm going to set it for 1 second, which will not be enough to clear the gap, but it will show you actually how it works. I'm going to type in wall run again, spelled exactly the same with the correct capitalization. and I'm going to start that timer. I'm then going to just repeat this on the opposite side, so add in a blank sub event. I can then just copy these 2 lines of code down, and same again here. Now that we've got the timers to run, we just actually need to make sure that when the time is finished, they set the can run to false. So to do that, we're going to take our player, scroll down, and we'll look for this option called on timer. We're going to make sure that it's spelled the exact same, so will run. And then we're going to take our player, scroll down, and just set the boolean to false. So what's happening is the moment that you start running, it's going to start a timer. We use this not running timer to make sure we've only got one time run at a time. If not, it just keeps resetting the time back to the beginning. And the moment it finishes, we set can run to false. Now, even though we've done this variable and we've changed this variable from true to false, we're not doing anything with it yet, apart from just changing its state. So final thing I'm going to do is just right click, add another action, player, scroll down, and we're just going to say is boolean set can run. And we'll do this for our left action as well, so if we're moving left, and that's it. So now when we run it, we'll be able to wall run. We'll be able to wall run for around about a second, and then we'll fall off. And we fell off. So now we can't clear this gap anymore, even if I do a really good jump. And again, it's just to make sure that your wall running doesn't become too overpowered. But as you can see, it can clear the gap much further than what I could before. And if I'm not happy with that time, I just change this time from 1 second to a couple more seconds. And we're going to improve this one more time by actually just adding a variable now. So we're just going to add a global variable, wall run time. I'm going to set this to 2. And then we can replace these 1 seconds with the wall run time instead. And then if we ever want to change it in the future, we can just change that one variable at the top instead of multiple variables. And that is it. That is my simple tutorial on how to do wall running inside of Construct 3. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel, as I'll be doing a mini series on lots of platform parkouring skills that you can add to your game, including a special episode just on the animation side and how to put in the different animations such as jump, double jump, falling, rolling, and all the other stuff in between. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.